I found my wife's secret Google account, and I'm sick to my stomach. Boy.
What's she been Googling?
Let's get sick.
This is a 36-year-old man. I met my wife, Bailey, who's 33.
Expose. Expose. You're on Reddit stories.
I'm not here, this is me. I met my wife, Bailey, who's 33, 9 years ago through mutual coworkers, and we hit it off immediately. I fell absolutely head over heels with this woman. She was everything I was looking for. I had gotten out of a toxic, dare I say, abusive, long-term relationship right before that with a woman Bailey had been acquainted with, but not friends with. I had her blocked on everything and had no contact with her since breaking up. We got married right after the tail end of the pandemic, bought our first house together, and started trying to conceive. That was difficult because Bailey has PCOS, but last year she finally gave birth to our first daughter. I'm having a blast being a dad. It's kind of a dream come true. I finally got my happy life with my perfect wife until last Monday. My laptop's battery shit the bed, so I opened up Bailey's work tablet with an attached keyboard. You can set it up like a monitor to check on some tax stuff. She wasn't home, it was just me and the baby, but we've never asked permission to use each other's devices. We've always been open like that. There's nothing for us to hide, that's what I thought. When I opened up the internet, I noticed she had the incognito tab open. Never in a million years did I expect to discover what I did. My wife has a secret Google account with a photo album saved called XX. So I clicked on it. Did I discover an affair? Nudes? Nope. In this Google album were over 300 photos, 348 actually, of my ex. The woman I was with right before I met Bailey. The woman who tormented me and made me feel worthless. The album said it was started back right around the time Bailey and I started dating and was updated as recently as 2 weeks ago. The photos range from candid shots with family to pictures at her work functions. There were even pictures from her yearbook. I don't know how Bailey could have found her high school yearbook photos, photos from vacations, ID photos from work, pictures of her in crowds, screenshots of videos, and screen recordings of videos. Just her. The other people in the photos would be scribbled out, or the people would be cropped and zoomed in just on my ex. There were other disturbing things I found too. There was another album with just zoomed up pictures of my ex's hair. Come to think of it, Bailey had recently started wearing her hair different, and my ex had a very identifiable hair type. There was another album with screenshots of comments on social media. Of course, I can't find them because I have her blocked, like Facebook groups she's in and public posts, and my ex is very low-key on social media. I can't imagine the lengths Bailey went to find them. My ex literally lives in another country now. There were also different links to the exact outfits she was wearing, like very specific blouses and trousers you'd have to really go looking for to find, a specific water bottle I remembered her purchasing, and identical hiking boots and sandals. So basically, my partner of almost a decade has been single white femaling my ex-girlfriend, has secretly stalked her to the point of buying her exact clothes and changing her hair, and now I'm starting to realize Bailey's new interests over the years were just my ex's. Bailey has turned herself into my ex. Everything feels like a lie. Our love feels like a lie. The things we share feel like a lie. I threw up and had a panic attack. I looked at our daughter and felt betrayed. I haven't confronted her yet. I don't know if I want to. I want to run away with our daughter. I want to print out all of her pictures, leave them on the table, and disappear. I don't know what to do. I just want to throw up.
Ooh.
That's up there as far as one of the craziest stories we've ever read.
Look, that photo album could be anything.
That could be anything, man. That could be anything.
That is haunting.
That's some Gone Girl shit.
I'm trying to think of myself in this situation, and I think I'd rather have found out she was cheating.
Oh, definitely.
Because that's simpler. That's simpler. It's like, okay, you're a normal bad person.
Right.
This is like, what the f***?
Scary town.
This is it's frankly frightening.
This is terrifying. No, it's actually, oh my God.
Well,
it is stalking. It's full on stalking.
It's literally unlawful.
She is committing crimes.
Everything that she has done.
But just the psychological aspect of like, for 10 years.
No. And who knows what else, too. This is the only thing that he's found. She probably has a storage unit.
Ooh.
Everybody's got a storage unit. That's creepy. I don't.
I don't.
I don't have one.
That.
I don't do that. But if you have a storage unit, it's creepy.
Oh, man. Whoa. I guess he has to confront her. You have to.
I think you deserve answers, and like for like the sake of your daughter.
That's what sucks. They have a kid.
They have a kid.
If there was no kid, I'd
Yeah.
be instantly out.
Yeah.
I'd be like, holy shit, that's
It's also,
wild.
I feel like, again, it's a matter of safety because the confrontation, like, I wouldn't know what would happen.
I wouldn't be holding my daughter for that one.
No, definitely. And I feel like I would also, if anything, like maybe do it at a public place, like maybe like leave all that aside or just be like, hey, I'm going away for a little bit. Give yourself some space, some time. Like, I think strategically you'd have to cook up a plan.
Can you just imagine, like, being with someone for 10 years and then suddenly in an instant they're a stranger? That's crazy. Why do you think she's doing this? Obviously, it's so unbelievably unhealthy. I don't know if there's no legitimate
I mean,
reason.
I think it's like legit. I think it's just she's very unwell and insecure, and maybe was. I don't know, but it's a deep unwellness that's
Yeah.
like undiagnosable by me for sure.
For sure. No, it's beyond pay grade of diagnosis. It's like, yeah, I don't think there's like a legitimate or logical place that this comes from, obviously. I think this is like, this is something that truly like a professional needs to assess.
Much to unpack.
Yeah.
I can see it in a world where it might have been reinforced for her. Like maybe it was something that she had started to do. And then as he speaks about this relationship being healthy and going in a great direction, she might have just been assigning it to that. She might have been like, oh, well, we're doing really well and I'm wearing all the ex's clothes and I'm doing all these things. I need to keep doing them. And it's kind of been headed in that direction. Now they have a kid. Again, the relationship is going so well. So she's continued to do this pattern that she almost might think is the reason why her marriage is going super well.
She's also keeping it a secret, so she knows it's wrong. She knows it's like wouldn't be approved by him.
She's probably like ashamed, but like also probably like scared that maybe if she doesn't continue to do it, then he like won't love her for who she is. Like I think it's like a deep, sad unwellness.
Yeah.
But I think it's I don't know if it's necessarily something that can be repaired between the two of them just because of how long it's been, and it's become a lot more than just like a dependency, but it seems like very much a need. If she has committed now her life
it's an obsession.
Yeah.
No, a professional needs to be involved in this situation for sure. We don't have an update, but we do have comments, and the OP replied to several of them.
Okay.
Someone said, holy cow, that is definitely alarming.
Holy cow.
Holy cow.
The understatement.
Gee golly, mister.
It's the understatement of the century.
Holy cow is what I'd say for really crazy.
Gee willikers, bro.
The best thing to do is address it now to see what'll change if she no longer has someone to replicate. The toxic side of me would slowly start mentioning things like, you really do remind me of someone, and nonchalantly bite into an apple and walk away.
This is what the f***?
That's bad advice. That's horrible advice.
Terrible advice.
They put their fedora on.
A Redditor, I was going to say like, oh, this reminds me of someone else.
No, this does remind me of someone.
Are they f***ing in Death
Come on,
Note?
Apu. OP, I feel like what's worse is that she's subtly made these changes over time under my nose. So my ex has a specific career, and Bailey didn't express interest in switching careers to the exact same thing until after I had mentioned what my ex did. Didn't notice at the time, but I remember telling her, X went to school for that. The hair was more recent, the outfits and objects slowly over time. The interests, I'm not sure how much she's stolen personality-wise from my ex and what she actually likes. It's all incredibly exhausting and confusing. Someone else said, why do you think you didn't notice her morphing into your ex? How similar is she now? Is it just physical or behavioral, interests, job, etc.? OP said, that's a good question, and I'm trying to figure that out myself. It wasn't all at once, and it was little things. Honestly, now that I'm starting to nitpick our entire relationship now, about a year ago she changed religions to my ex's. Again, I didn't think much of it, but she definitely knew this was my ex's religion.
I'm kind of scared for the ex as well.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I kind of am just like something definitely to consider if he just decides to flee with the daughter is like, should he warn the ex? I mean, he clearly said that she didn't treat him well. I think he used the word worthless.
I think the ex even lives in a different. I think he said the ex even lives in a different country.
Right.
Now.
But it would be so difficult to consider that factor as well of like, do I tell this person who has made me feel like shit for all the time that I've been with her?
Sure.
But also, this could be a dangerous
I think that's fair. I think that's very fair. I'm also a little look, you're not going to run under the assumption of like, oh, my partner's obsessed with my ex and they're becoming them. But like, these are big changes that he's talking about. She switched careers, she switched religions. All these things that match his exes, you would...
Switching religions is great.
I'm a little like... Okay.
I would have maybe opened with that one.
Yeah, like...
And the haircut.
It's a lot of stuff, but it's not his fault. You wouldn't expect this.
I wonder what the hairstyle was.
That's what I'm thinking. The hair is a big one.
Someone said, the biggest question that comes to mind now is she treating you like your ex did? Like, how far is she going to take this in becoming your ex? Is it just the clothes, looks, job, or is she taking it even further? To be honest, the level of stalking she is showing is just terrifying and divorce/separation worthy. Opie said, my wife is a beautiful individual inside and out. She's never abused me, belittled me, or even called me an asshole as a joke. My ex did the opposite. I don't know if I want a divorce. I just want answers. I want to know who I had a child with. This reminds me, the thing is, I've read a lot of stories like this where it's the flip side, where a guy is dating a girl and her ex was awful to her. And I think what a lot of guys think is like, your ex was awful to you and you're still with him. So all of these features and stuff you must be so attracted to that you would tolerate being treated so poorly that, oh, that's what you're actually attracted to.
Or maybe in like a twisted way too, she's like kind of trying to amend that by being all of those same things but treating him better.
Yeah.
Which isn't, again, an excuse, but it might be some of the reasoning that's going on in her head of why this might be okay, that she's trying to help like fix some of that for him.
I think also the problem is we're trying to find a logical...
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if there's logic here.
He said it best. He's like, I need answers. I need to hear it from her because that's... everything else is just pure conjecture.
Hopefully.
I don't know if that's the right word.
I think it is.
No, it is. Hopefully we do get an update or something at some point because this was 2
days ago?
2 days ago. So the fact that we haven't heard anything since, it's been 2 days, I'm guessing probably hasn't gone well. It would be a quick update if it was like, hey, I talked to her and actually, it's cool.
Right.
It wasn't even her iPad.
It wasn't hers. It was actually my ex's iPad that my wife stole.
No,
Because she killed her.
He needs to get a secret apartment, and then he can live there with the daughter while he like makes some money. He needs like a longer plan because again,
Secret apartment?
Yeah. I'm telling you, because he needs to also build up a smarter plan because I think her plan is very convoluted, and she has a lot of, again, probably a lot more things that are hidden. So I feel like he can be a little bit smarter about it instead of just trying to get out and hope for safety.
Yeah.
I feel like there is more, again, talking to her would make it better, hopefully. But depending on how that goes, like I can't stop thinking that there's more lengths that she'll go to.
She's going to extreme lengths, and the one I'm thinking about is he's like, there's a lot of shots of her in like crowds and stuff, and I'm like,
that's some Jason.
Did you travel and take photos of her? Like, I'm like, what the f? Those aren't photos that you just found. Like,
yeah, it's
like,
the scary, like scratching out of other people. That's
like,
scary.
No, this sounds like a serial killer. Like,
that's really scary.
It's truly terrifying. Hopefully we get an update at some point. We will read it here. My God, that's one of the scariest.
She's planning something
crazy.
big.
This is titled Shower Prank. It comes from Paranormal Encounters. I am a strong believer that if you acknowledge something, it gets stronger. This happened to me months ago, and I just want to put it out in the world in hopes that it takes away the temptation to bring this up to my fiance all the time. One evening after work, I went to take a shower. I will admit that I had not slept the night before, so I was incredibly tired. I had my music as loud as it would go on my phone, so I could hear it over the rushing water. About midway through, my music volume lowered to silent. I turned around to open the curtain to find out why, when my fiance pulled back the curtain a little bit, stuck his head in the shower, and grinned at me. I looked at him with confusion, and he popped his head back out before turning the light off and closing the bathroom door. To say I was furious is an understatement. I really don't like certain kinds of pranks, call me lame if you want, and one involving wet and slippery darkness just hit me hard with how tired I was. I immediately stepped out of the shower, flipped the light back on, the switch is right between the shower and the door, and stormed out of the bathroom without even getting a towel. I found my fiance sitting at his computer with his headset on and absolutely laid into him. He had this confused and panicked expression as I asked why he would think that was funny, telling him to never do that again. He asked me to explain what he did wrong, which made me angrier. But when he said he had been playing since before I even went to shower, I believed him. To begin with, he hates pranks even more than I do. We've been together for 6 years, and he's never so much as jumped out from a corner to startle me, and I've never seen him mess with anyone else. He is not the type of person that would even think to do something like that, but I was so tired that none of that sank in before I lost it on him. Along with simply not being the type, the setup of the apartment would have made it impossible for him to get back to the office without me hearing him. Between the bathroom and the office, there is a noisy metal baby gate, the living room, the kitchen, and another noisy metal baby gate in the office doorway. I would have also heard his footsteps on the wooden floors if he were moving as quickly as he would have needed to. I've thought about it over and over. It's the creepiest thing that has ever happened to me, and I want to write it off as being sleep deprived, but I had to turn my music back up, I had to flip the light switch back on, I had to open the bathroom door to get out. We leave it open when we shower because it's just the two of us, and the bathroom has poor ventilation for steam. I made him check the apartment for anyone else, even though I know what he looks like, and that face was him. I asked him to stay in the bathroom with me until I washed the conditioner out of my hair. I think about this every time I shower now. We've had some random things happen before that. Stuff moving to places we know we didn't put it. Sounds we couldn't rationalize forever. The motion sensor triggering on the cameras over nothing, but nothing near this level before then. I don't know what I'm looking for here other than a moment to wring out my brain. But if anyone has had a similar experience to this misery, I would welcome some company.
Not keep us up at night. I'm destroyed after that.
I just picture a man in the mirror.
like,
Here's Johnny.
Stop.
Like that's
Honestly, I think showering, that's scary. I mean, have you ever seen the movie Psycho?
Yeah.
Like, what?
That's crazy. You got a haunted house, miss.
Also, baby gates.
They have a lot of baby gates.
They're not allowed baby gates, but
do you have a baby?
The level, yeah, they never mention a baby, which almost makes them scarier than whatever demon is in their house.
Yeah,
I also like how there's multiple levels of baby gates, like Area 51 for their baby.
There's a swipe card.
Yeah, we have high security because our baby is.
Maybe it was the baby.
Yeah.
was it the baby just going like,
Right?
Looks just
That's
the dad, has the exact
crazy.
dad's face.
That's terrifying.
scary.
Super scary. What are your initial impressions on what that would be? Do you think it's a ghost?
What's hard is that if she was sleep deprived, fine. But if she has to turn on her phone and turn the light back on.
yeah.
those
And the
things
door.
do.
It's like so many things where it's like, okay, probably
I don't
there's
know.
something paranormal going on.
I'm of the belief of like, look, if we can only assume that they're telling the truth. There's the added element of, I'm being honest here, as a skeptic, when I read these types of stories on Reddit, my initial impression is always like, well, I don't know who this person is, and they could just write a story
Embellish.
and get karma, and that's.
So
But
yeah.
taking it as it is, and we hear, this is not some insane story, I've never heard anything like it.
Yeah.
Hearing it as it is, my initial impression is, oh, you were tired, but your phone turning the volume down and the lights going off at the same time, so that's not an electrical issue. And the door shutting. There's a lot of elements happening at once.
And his face.
And his
seeing
literal
his face.
face.
Wild.
Wait, is he lying though?
She's saying it's impossible for him to get back upstairs. I don't think that's the case. The scariest scenario here, in my opinion, is if he did it and he's that weird.
Yeah,
like
your husband's
because
a
if he just really silently, because she had to get out of there and it was dark and stuff. He had time to like slowly make his way up and then do it.
But the baby gate.
But the loud baby gate.
If this husband who never pranks her decided to suddenly pull an insane prank like this and lie to her
psychologically
and
mess her up.
make her believe this was real,
Yeah.
then that's also very implausible. So, I mean, what are we talking
Any
about?
updates?
Poltergeist, ghost? No, but we have some comments here. have you ever looked into the history of the place? Like, who lived there before?
Oh, yeah.
OP responded, it was originally a factory for making pots and pans. Her
you go.
unit only had one previous group of tenants that destroyed the place, but nobody died. Someone else said, hello, friend. Sounds like you have a mimic on your hands.
Yeah.
I highly recommend a spiritual cleanse of the house. If you would like traditional methods to cleanse your home and establish protection to prevent reoccurrence, please let me know. I am an interfaith minister, so please let me know if you practice a particular religion, and I can give you advice to suit. There's tons of things you can do to get rid of annoying pests like the one you have.
Isn't that creepy? It's like it's a rodent.
Yeah, I almost think this person scares me more than whatever mimic.
But that's the thing.
I can help you.
Hello, friend.
That's a thing. That's a thing. Like
What,
at
mimics?
my girlfriend's house, Selena Spooky Boo, who's also like a YouTuber, her house is really haunted and we've ghost hunted there before. But there's been so many instances where I see her and I'm like talk to her or like and it's not her because she's in a different. Yeah, like there's those kind of like mimicry.
Why do they say
ghosts.
that they have mimics?
A Reddit user pulled up the definition. Usually it's a demonic or negative spirit that mimics people you love or are comfortable with so that specific energy can gain your trust and then attach itself to you.
Okay.
We did like a whole seance to get rid of it and everything. It was intense.
And did you?
And yeah, I think so. It hasn't shown up since we did it, and that was like a couple months ago.
Did anything happen during the seance?
No, nothing like of note. It was just really creepy.
The mimic's like, no.
That's what we do on Tuesdays. Anyway.
I love that. Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah, we like walked around our whole property with salt. We like saged everything. We lit a fire. We like threw stuff in the fire. It was wild.
I love that shit.
Yeah, we should do stuff.
I
like
would
that.
love to.
There's the added level of ghosts and then demons
Yeah, that's a whole other thing.
as a whole nother level.
Super scary.
Super scary.
This is the type of thinking that I have. Like, right, if this happened to me, right? So where I'm like, okay, I can't deny that I witnessed this thing. But I'm also, like I said, I try to believe everything. I used to have this theory that I would think about when I was a teenager and I was really into this stuff of, what if time, it's the true detective thing, time is a flat circle. But if all time is happening at once and there's a multiverse of dimensions that are all happening at the same time, what if you're just seeing another, like, time folding in on itself and you're just seeing an image from the past or the future or a different dimension, whatever. Like, there's just like, or, there's other things, what if they could collide? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. What I'm saying is a stupid guy thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
But that's where my brain goes as opposed to, it's a ghost. It's like, but there's also an infinite possibility, infinite amount of possibilities for stuff.
Yeah.
Is my belief.
Neil deGrasse Tyson on this podcast, man.
Yeah, let's get in.
No, but it's true. That's kind of like what I feel like the afterlife is kind of like. It's like a different dimension.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's very valid.
Thin places, right, where people believe that spirits are always around you, just like maneuvering or
Some are just trying to
hanging
like figure out
out.
how to get up, like to where they're supposed to be.
That makes me feel actually more calm when I think of that, but
too.
that's not what my first brain thinks. My first brain is like, okay, someone has unfinished
Somebody's
business.
trying to infiltrate my body.
Mimics.
Mimics.
Like, I automatically go to the scary thing.
Yeah, me too.
There's a lot of discussion here, and someone cited the Australian Department of Climate Change, Electricity, Gas, and Water, that carbon monoxide can often be an explanation that people use for stuff like this. They go, inhalation of low levels of carbon monoxide can cause headache, dizziness, lightheadedness, and fatigue. Exposure to higher concentrations of carbon monoxide can cause sleepiness, hallucinations, convulsions, collapse, loss of consciousness, and death. Another source says, like, if you or others in your home ever experience ghostly symptoms, you should have your furnace, oven, and or other gas appliances inspected by a professional. Now, I'm of the opinion of, like, get that stuff checked out just in
Automatically.
For sure.
case. Just in case. And then if it keeps happening, it's like, well, we ruled that out.
Yeah,
But, like,
exactly.
next story comes from a subreddit we've never covered before. Beyond the Bump.
Cocaine?
So I'm assuming this is a subreddit related to pregnancy.
Okay.
I am seriously contemplating divorcing my husband over a prank.
He threw the baby through a window.
Oh no. At least he didn't throw a window through a baby.
Oh no!
No. I'm sorry it's a long vent, but I honestly feel so much rage. My husband and I are both 32 years old with a 6-week-old baby. We have been together for 7 years. Pranking each other has been something we do, especially early in our relationship as a bit of fun. He has been known to take them too far at times, and I don't know what to think. Since I've been home with the baby, he has continued playing pranks, and my tolerance is very low. Between sleepless nights and all the hormones, I find myself absolutely raging at him for these pranks. He tells me I'm being too serious, I'm no fun, and I am, and I quote, a chronic overreactor, whatever that is.
Sorry, that just came out.
3 pranks in particular have angered me to the point of tears, raging out, and now I am contemplating divorce. Prank 1 was making coffees for our guests with my breast milk.
Oh my God!
I love looking out of the room. Marcus is on the far other corner at a table, and I look at him. He's just like this. He just.
Ian just enters from office like, whoa, you can do that?
Ian's like, not the asshole. Whoa.
Dude, that's a gift if I've ever
incredible
seen
person.
it. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Prank 1 was making coffees for our guests with my breast milk. I am having trouble pumping, so I don't have much stored away. I was so angry and embarrassed. I'm sorry, we need to, I hope she covers more of that, because that's, several people were not consenting to that prank. Prank 2 was pretending to have cut his fingers off in the garden. He dragged it out for ages and splattered fake blood around, not just a quick little joke. And lastly, prank 3, which happened today and I feel is my final straw. Last night I was hinting about breakfast in bed, so this morning he brought me coffee, toast, and some chocolates. What I assumed was peanut butter on my toast was in fact our baby's poop. And as I have severe sinus issues, I didn't realize and took a small bite and I spat it out straight away. He laughed hysterically and I told him to get out. He later messaged me and said all his workmates thought it was hilarious, which is just embarrassing on top of it all. I am just so angry, hurt, and sad, but also I don't feel like myself yet after having my baby, so I don't know. Am I overreacting? Would you consider these pranks way too far? They aren't the only ones, the ones that have caused massive fights. He also has set off alarms while I'm sleeping when I'm sleep deprived as it is, etc. This fits so into the meme that I say where it's like women posting about their partners being like, am I overreacting? He lit our house on fire while I was inside.
That's crazy.
This is literally like,
Oh my God.
I don't even know what to say.
I'm still, okay, look, it somehow got worse, but I want to know, he used her breast milk and gave her breast milk to
Other people.
guests.
How is this not the first Reddit story that you've had on this show that was about feeding someone else your breast milk? Why do people do that? You can't do that. You can't.
No, that's unbelievable. All of that is unbelievable.
And she didn't have a lot of breast milk either. She said that she was running
she's
low.
like, I am having a hard time pumping. I'm also sleep deprived, and he's waking me up. It's like,
Who is this guy? What is he doing?
Okay, I think the lesson here is don't have a baby with Mr. Bean.
Hey, Rowan Atkinson is a treasure.
No, even Mr. Bean would be like, whoa. What are you doing? This is sadistic. I'm like, what I'm also fascinated by is like, I obviously don't have a kid. I don't, but I've only heard stories. They have a 6-week-old baby, and this guy has the energy to be doing this crazy shit.
Well, he's not helping out.
No, he's not doing shit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, the f***?
Why are you pranking a new mom? Like, there's a lot to do.
This is the last person in the world, like,
Yes.
I'd prank.
A prank would be, actually, that's not our kid's shit. It is peanut butter, but I told you it was shit. And it's like, oh,
Even
maybe,
that's
you know
too
what I mean?
much.
But it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I know, but it's just like, it's
feeding her-
actual shit. That's crazy.
You poisoned your wife. She's sleep deprived. Like this is a prison where you're being tortured. Yes.
Oh.
And I'm assuming the
torture
baby
prison.
isn't like, hey, you've had some rough nights, and I know he's been waking you up. I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna chill out.
Yeah. No. Alarm and baby screams.
His
and baby toots.
squirm. Yeah.
The comments here are as we'd expect. These aren't pranks. These are abuse. And giving your guests breast milk? What on earth made him think they'd be okay with it? And shit on toast? What the actual f***? That is not okay, ever. I'd be divorcing him if I were you. That is beyond messed up. And then telling his coworkers? God, if I had a coworker say they did that to their wife, I'd be absolutely disgusted and horrified for their wife. Someone else said, no, you are not overreacting. That is psychological abuse. Get yourself and your child out of that situation. Your husband fed you shit, then laughed at you. That is not the story you want for yourself. Someone else said, what the f***? is this real? This can't be real. No grown-ass 32-year-old man would think that's funny and appropriate. Why are you with him? Jesus, that's not a prank, that's assault. Tricking someone into eating something, especially human secretions and waste, is a felony. Opie said, I'm in Australia, so I will look into the law here, but I doubt anything will be done in a legal sense.
There's no overreacting. It's reacting. She is reacting to this stuff. And if someone's saying constantly that you are overreacting, something's not being addressed.
No, I almost think she's underreacting.
The fact that she's not 50 miles away in a car, like, calling for help, like...
The fact that she was able to write, like, yeah, he gave our guests my breast milk, and then, like, moved on to other parts of the story, I'm like, what? Update.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had a very brief chat with him. He came home, I was in the master bedroom with the baby and told him to go away, so he sat in the living room, ordered himself KFC delivery, and gamed. I went down and flatly said, on what planet was what you did this morning appropriate? He straight out said, you should have seen the look on your face, and began hysterically laughing again. I kept my cool and said he wasn't welcome in the bedroom tonight. I am going to go to my sister's for a stay. I don't know any further plans at this time. It has been a long 6 weeks, and if anything, for the next week, I want to catch up on some sleep and be able to enjoy my baby. Update number 2.
Okay. Please be safe.
My husband is now giving me the silent treatment and acting annoyed at me, which I've come to realize is what he does if things don't go his way. He will sulk about things until I give in. I've had a lot of time to read replies, and I really look back on a lot of things and realize that he uses pranks and jokes as a way to be horrible to people and gain attention. His parents think it's funny and that he is a hilarious goofball, when in reality he isn't. I look back and so many pranks have been so awful and mean. Even in 2018, he gave a friend a marijuana gummy before a flight from San Francisco to Australia, and his friend had a panic attack in the bathroom on the plane, and he still laughs about it and thinks it is one of his greatest tricks. He has accidentally let my pet Budgie out that I had prior to when we met, but now I look back and it was most certainly on purpose, as he doesn't like animals and always said birds were dirty animals. What I've really noticed looking back is not just the pranks, but he has zero care if someone is worried or upset about a prank. It in fact eggs him on more and more, and he goes to great lengths to trick people into a state of upset, then will laugh and brag about it, which just leads me to think he has no empathy for another human being. Ultimately, I have lost trust in him. Even if he says no pranks again, I will not believe him, as he has said that before, then planned on elaborate month-long prank. I don't want him pranking my baby. He constantly tags me in pranks on Facebook involving kids, and he will 100% do it, as some I've said are not cool, and he said it's character building. He has no respect in reality, and even the stupid things he does, like leaving his own poop in the toilet for me to find, or waking the baby, or wetting the car seat before I hop in, are just blatant displays of disrespect. My sister is on her way to pick me up, and I'm going to have a week away and most likely get legal advice regarding separation.
Period.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, the like emotional manipulation there is insane. Like, I feel like this term is overused. Maybe it's not the right term, but I'm like, this might be a psychopath. Like, he's constantly poisoning people. Shit, breast milk, weed gummies, none of these things are consented to. He's laughing about it and then manipulating their emotions afterwards. That kid is not safe. And I pray that, like, she has full custody.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly a trait, because he like the severe lack of empathy that he finds, people's negative emotions funny. That I'm like, you don't, when someone's in a state of distress, especially your wife who has a 6-year-old baby, you'd feel zero care.
Right.
Zero, and feel zero remorse. You're immediately just upset and like, fine. They'll like nonchalantly just be like, well, I'm gonna order KFC and game then, if you're upset. It's like, so.
You don't care at all?
No, it seems true. It seems like the pranks are as we were saying earlier, it's like, this is sadistic. Like, these are a guise for him to kind of like have fun with people and like get his enjoyment out of hurting people.
Yeah.
Scary stuff.
Very scary.
No, I mean, because, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not an expert, but, we think of psychopaths as like killing people and stuff. And it's like, what I think it often comes out as, like, those types of traits are like, probably more like this, more day to day. But I'm not an expert on that. I mean, look, there's no diagnosis that's necessary. This guy's awful.
Right. He's been diagnosed as awful.
I can kind of relate to this in a way because I think people will be able to guess it. I worked with an actor who on set was like, it was often in the guise of like, oh, I'm being silly, I'm being goofing, I'm like saying jokes and stuff. But it's like, or are you kind of abusing the crew and abusing your castmates and like making shit so hard for others and you think it's funny, but it's really a power trip.
Yeah.
And it's really just a way of kind of like putting people down.
Right.
Yeah, this is crazy. That might be true. Like we've read a lot of really scary people. That might be, he could be the worst guy.
He sounds like the scariest person.
It's terrifying, yeah.
No, truly awful.
Like he's waking the baby as like one of his pranks. I'm like, you have no instinct for this creature that you need to take care of.
Waking a 6-year-old baby, like I said, I don't have a baby, but that seems crazy and awful to me. I'm glad she's getting out of there. She's getting her baby out of that situation. I hope there's legal recourse against him because a lot of that stuff feels like there is.
Right.
She listed several to me,
crimes.
I hope are crimes.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, and he also did all these other things. Like some of those are also, I'm pretty sure, crimes.
My hope is also that the sister was just being overly polite before, and the second she's like, do you think Dave is actually kind of bad? She goes like, oh my God, thank you. Yes, Dave sucks. Everyone hates him.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping the family is there to just be like, oh, yes,
To
get out of
embrace
here.
and support. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Good for her getting out of that.
I'm excited to hear one of these with pranks.
Yeah.
Right.
We've still yet to have an actual prank here.
I'm curious, what do y'all consider pranks? Because I do feel like in the past, at least for as long as the internet's been a thing, pranks aren't a thing anymore. Like, it used to be like, oh, I bought fake throw up on the ground and you thought it was throw up and you had to clean it up and it was plastic. Tee.
Right. That's what I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a prank, to me, pranks, I think need to be, I like positive pranks.
Right.
I don't like when a prank is like, oh my God, this is horrible. Oh, okay, it's not horrible. Or I don't know, it's like, or like,
Haha, you thought I was dead.
any sort of discomfort or any sort of I don't know, I'm not a fan of it. I think a prank ultimately, I don't really prank people. I know that sounds a little hypocritical. I don't really like to prank people on a day-to-day basis, unless there's some way of it's the only type of prank I would do is if I'm giving someone a gift and there's some way to psych them out and then it's oh, but here's a better thing. But I don't have an example of that in my head.
I think I'm probably a little biased against it because I did have a situation when I was really, really young that my uncle freaked me out with the prank because he did this sleight of hand thing and I thought he literally took my nose from my face and I was like, oh my God, and he's like, I have this now. And then he gave it back and I was like, okay.
That was really funny.
That's how you know it's funny, is when someone goes that was funny.
That was funny.
Original poster's delusional cubicle neighbor keeps a journal about her. There's a note here. This post is formatted through journal entries and commentary from the original poster. Additionally, names were added by me to make it easier to understand due to OOP censoring the names out. Okay, so this isn't the person who originally posted this story. Someone found this story on Reddit, and they're posting it here with all the updates and compiled it all.
How do they know the updates?
They found them all. They found all the updates and stuff. But
Basically just
that's how Best of Reddit
Got it.
updates works. You put it all into one post.
So that you
Got
can
it.
So they're saying
read it.
OOP as in
Original.
I received these journals and pen, don't forget the pen, plus flowers, candy, and a huge stuffed bear from my former cubicle neighbor at a job I worked at for 3 years. As you'll see, the guy is knucking futs. How they worded it. These are just selection. Most of the entries, 221 total, are rather mundane, just notating what I wear and anything that pops into his crazy head that he feels I want to hear him blather on about. Our cubicles were next to each other the whole time I worked at this firm. We were kind of friendly the first 6 months I was there. Then he asked me on a date. I very politely declined, very firm that I don't date coworkers and whatnot. After that, besides a friendly hello, he said almost nothing to me. We were on different teams, so it wasn't a big deal to me. But after I turned him down, he started keeping this journal. This entry also takes a turn at the end. Up until now, he called me pet names and talked as if we were currently dating. This is the first time he really reveals that he's planned the rest of our lives out for us. The last 9 months of the journals get really bad. Consolidated journal entries for the sake of time, so we kind of compiled this a little bit. It's a lot. Entry number 1, February 26, 2016. Wearing brown wrap dress with silver buckle on belt. 3-inch heels, also brown. Hair up, little too much mascara. You and Catherine were talking about that dumb show, Pretty Little Liars. I tried to get into it for you, but after 2 seasons, I just couldn't take it anymore. Holy moly, is it some vapid crap. When we are together, I will introduce you to amazing TV and movies. Take Mad Men. The sublimeness and stunning virtuoso performances will bowl you over. Although I should be careful about what I introduce you to, the way they try to show the antithesis of how the proper housewives should act is disturbing and clearly done for dramatic license, not rooted in reality. I know you won't mind staying home to raise our children properly. It is what women are built for, after all. Certainly, you need to work now, but have no fear, my love. I will take care of you the second you are ready. I will lavish you with all you need to support, love, and cherish me and our children.
This is the first entry?
That's the first entry.
Uh-oh. We have problems, Go-Go Gadget.
Yes, we do.
I like how he's like, yeah, Mad Men, it's a little messed up and delusional and weird. And then it's like, anyways, when we have children.
Yeah.
Entry number 2, June 29th, 2016. Wearing green silk blouse, black tight skirt that doesn't make your knees standing. I can only imagine how short it is when you are sitting. Black 2-inch heels, hair up. The flirting thing with Mike needs to end. I try to be understanding. Women are evolutionarily wired to flirt, but hearing you banter with him 2 or 3 times a week when you know I'm listening makes my blood boil. What does Mike have that is attractive to you? I just don't get it. It makes me sick, hearing his disgusting innuendo and your positive responses to that kind of talk. Be modest. Be meek and pure, like you should. I feel like I need to stand up and remind you that your perfect mate is right here, inches away. I'm everything you need and everything you will come to understand you want. I struggle with your behavior, my sweet, I truly do, but it doesn't get me down because I know the end game even if you don't yet. That we will be together forever. You are getting there too, I can sense it. Your inability to date anyone more than 2 or 3 times and the fact that even you recognize Mike as just a work boyfriend, a plaything, means you are getting there. I am patient, I truly am. After all, we will have the rest of our lives together. Entry number 3, October 24th, 2016. Wearing blue slim sweater with white collared shirt underneath, light brown slacks, hair up, brown 3-inch heels. Just to make sure you understand in regards to our discussion on Friday, I do try to limit my masturbation. And have no fear, it is only you I think about when I just have to release. All my previous material is nothing compared to you, my love. There is a difference between you and me when it comes to masturbation. When you do it, you are preparing yourself for me. I know you also have sex, but I do my best to not think about you letting other men have you. It upsets me, but at least you are seeing how awful other men are compared to their nirvana that will be me. But I am saving my seed for you to implant your sweet flower.
God! Sorry. There's nowhere to hide on set.
I know they say sperm regenerates every day, but I've seen men say their loads are larger when they wait. And it feels that way to me too. Not like I measure or anything, haha. But a part of me mourns all that poor sperm who just wants a chance to be the one that creates Andrew Peter, our first child, and instead finds themselves in a tube sock or going down the shower drain. So I will do better, abstain as much as I can for you, my love. This is like a A24 horror movie.
Yeah.
Whew.
Make it.
Every next sentence was a new
Yeah, like
Yeah.
crazy thing.
This is bad. Entry number 4, November 23rd, 2016. Wearing who the hell knows? How can you do this? How? How can you abandon your one true love? How can you abandon our life together? How can you doom our future generations to nothingness? How? With a ton of question marks. I am bereft without you, adrift at sea. I can't be without you. I won't be without you. I will follow you to the ends of the universe. Know that. I will find you and help you understand. For us, to complete the truly most important relationship ever. I see I need to take control. I wanted to wait for you, but I see that like other women, you need your man to take charge. No more waiting. I will show you what you have been too blind to see with your own eyes. What has been sitting patiently listening, documenting for you, for posterity. Fine, I get it. I understand you are telling me to be the man. Stop crying, creep, you are saying. Stop being a goddamn pussy. Have you been talking to moms? Ha ha. Fine. You want me to take control? Well, here is all the evidence you need. I understand that you want me to stop you. A grand gesture for you. Okay. I'm sorry, my love, for how I'm writing here. Messy. I promise to read to you whatever you can't make out yourself. You just threw me for a loop, but your message is loud and clear. I'm coming for you, my love. Coming for us. Okay. So OP she now gives an update on this stuff.
Were you breathing? I wasn't breathing.
I have yet to breathe.
Okay.
That's the last entry that we have here. So she now says, so that day, I went to my supervisor and gave my 2 weeks notice and that I was planning on using my accrued vacation days during that time. Without getting into all the gory details, I wanted to get out of that place, and I didn't even know about the psycho yet. So I packed up my stuff and was gone before this loser came in. My friends in the office told me that psycho cube boy was late because he had a doctor's appointment or something and absolutely melted down when he found out why I wasn't there. He got sent home, where I assume he wrote this last entry. In the office the next day, he contacted HR and said that I was moving and that I had asked him to bring me my last paycheck stub. So a since fired HR person gave him my address. He left work at lunchtime, bought a bunch of things he thought would win me over, and came to my apartment. Thankfully, I wasn't there as I was flying to another city to rent an apartment for a new job. He camped out in front of my building for 3 days. Finally, someone called the cops on him and he had to abandon whatever his plans were. I got back the next day and found that he UPS'd me all of this stuff. Suffice to say, I didn't react in the way he wanted. Long story short, he is currently in jail, 2 to 5 years, and I live in a new city, only now able to laugh about what happened, thanks to a kick-ass therapist and some amazing drugs. Edit.
Fuck yeah.
After I received a restraining order, he violated that restraining order and attempted to kidnap me so that he could prove his love to me in whatever twisted way he thought that was possible. Thanks to the outstanding law enforcement officials in my city, his attempt was known ahead of time and I was being monitored, so that as soon as he started his kidnapping attempt, he was apprehended and arrested.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So she didn't see these journal entries until when?
It was after. I am a little confused by that, but so that day I went to my supervisor and gave my 2 weeks notice that I was planning on using my accrued vacation days.
It wasn't about him.
So she was quitting and leaving, and then he freaked out, and then got her address, sent her all of that stuff, and then
She probably read it and then did the restraining order.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Got the restraining order, and then he tried to violate that restraining order, of course. And yeah, I mean, this is
terrifying.
Severe stalking.
So scary.
Super scary.
On a side note, she wore some really cute outfits.
True.
I think
My
this
God.
I see
original.
those heels.
I do too.
I think this original post was from 2018. So I think if
He's out.
If more were to happen, then we would know. There's a couple comments. Unfortunately, I can't even pray that this is fake because I've dealt with a fraction of that sort of crazy. Women have to deal with this sort of thing all the time, and it's just scary. Now I need to bathe in bleach to rid myself of that ick.
Whoa.
Someone said, I read all of them and I want to take a shower again. Someone said, nope, we're done here, everybody. Nothing tops this one. We're done. End of subreddit. Thanks for all the laughs, but I think it's all over after this. There were other entries that she put in, but we didn't include them. No, I mean, really, that type of behavior is like, I think that's red alert. I'm like, do whatever you have to do.
There's not enough flags.
Yeah, this isn't big enough.
This is not big enough. What was he gonna do if he kidnapped her?
I just think like, I mean, look, there's that show Baby Reindeer. Like, this is that level of like, that person, it is.
It's just very delusional.
I understand like this person may not be living in reality. I understand that. I want to have empathy for that, but there's no room for that.
Well, when you go to a kidnapping place, you lose.
And unfortunately,
some empathy.
with that, even at the beginning, even that entry number 1, I'm just like, yeah, you have to assume that that's what's going to happen.
We started that.
You can't have any like benefit of the doubt for people like that are in this state. You have to immediately go to, all right, they are a huge threat. And
God.
it's really scary.
He was probably watching her every day.
Was he getting his job done?
Probably not. That HR person.
I know
That's the worst
That-
of all of them.
No, I think this is okay. This has happened a couple times in Reddit stories, and I think the biggest thing ever is never give anyone anyone's address unless that person has said, "Hey, can you give that person my address?" Don't.
And if they get to that
ever.
point, just text that person your address.
Yeah.
Right, don't have someone else give
Don't give anyone someone's phone number or address. Just don't ever do it.
No. Yeah.
I don't think ever. Like it's like, why are you asking me for their address?
Yeah.
Like it's just especially a coworker. That's not like I even family members, because you don't know what's going on.
Even if someone's like, oh, you use that, bartender or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, here's their website, or like, here's their email maybe, but like.
Their link tree.
Yeah. Linktree.
No, it's because I'm like, don't give someone's address, especially if you're an HR person. What a failure.
This is so scary.
Yeah.
So scary. I wouldn't just say just women. There's a lot, like men also deal with this too.
Oh, it's a thing that happens.
And it definitely happens in like work scenarios, right?
Yeah. It's unfortunately very common in our industry.
Right.
But it also happens to people every day.
Oh, that made me so sick.
Yeah.
Hey, everything's bad, be scared all the time. No, just kidding.
Hey!
No.
No. No. I mean, just don't read the journals.
That should have gone in our horror episode.
That is straight up
no
a
amount
horror.
of ghosts or demons.
If I read that script, like a horror script, I'd be like, whoa, this is
That is straight
scary.
up a horror script. I sincerely hope she's safe.
Well, it sounds like
if
she's
anyone-
a badass. She's like,
she's tough.
She's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, and that HR person f***ed up by giving them her address, but hopefully if she's moved to a new city, it'll be a lot harder for him. But
Yeah.
it's terrifying, man.
I just she's gonna have to go. I hope she's free of going the rest of her life being like, holy shit, is he nearby?
Yeah, I hope she
that's
has
the
her
curse
freedom.
of this is
Yeah.
yeah. But wish her the best. Hope she's well.
My son's friend's parents want to adopt him. My son, his friend's parents want to adopt my son.
Oh my God.
Dude, we just love your kids so much.
I, a 24-year-old woman, am a single mom to my son, Owen, who's 8 years old. It's been just us since day one. His father isn't in the picture and has been able to avoid child support for years now. Yes, I've tried everything. My own parents disowned me. We aren't on the poverty line by any means, but we definitely live paycheck to paycheck in a one-bedroom apartment. It's not ideal, and I hope within the next couple of years we'll be someplace bigger. For now, it's our situation. I've raised Owen to know that money isn't everything. We may not have a lot. He won't always have the newest this or that, but we have each other. The two of us are very close. He has never gone without the basics, but I admit he doesn't get a lot of fun extras. I try to save a little here and there to make birthdays and holidays fun, but it's still never anything glamorous, and I think Owen was fine with that, until recently anyways. In our area, all the public schools are based on a lottery system, so your child has a fair shot of going to any of them, so long as you put in their name. Our neighborhood school is not great and in a pretty crappy area, so I decided to put him in a different one across town. It's near my job, so it works out. Last year, when he was in 2nd grade, he met Charlie. They began hanging out a lot after school, with Owen going to his place. I met Charlie's parents, Nate and Paige, a couple of times before this began. They seemed very nice and supportive. Owen always had a great time at their house. Charlie occasionally came to our apartment, but usually they were at his place, which made sense. I work and there's really not much for them to do here, even when I am off. Summer breaks are easy to find care, as there are several free or low-cost camps that I can put Owen in. It's the shorter breaks, such as Christmas and spring, that are harder. Spring break of 2022, I managed to just miss registration. Paige is a stay-at-home mom and offered to take Owen for the week. I was hesitant to ask so much of her, but she insisted. He had a really fun time with them. They did a ton of activities, and Paige refused my attempts to pay her back at least some. I couldn't afford all. I admit I did feel a tad uncomfortable with her spending this much on my son, but at the time I didn't want to deprive Owen of this stuff. Summer came and Owen ended up going on vacation with them. I was again very hesitant, but the experience was something I could never give Owen, and it wasn't too far away. He had a blast. I kept telling Nate and Paige that there's no way I could ever pay them back, and they kept insisting that they loved having Owen around. They told me what a great kid he was, sweet, respectful. At one point, I really pressed Paige as to why she was so insistent on having Owen around so much. That's when she told me that they never planned for Charlie to be an only child, but all attempts at giving him a sibling just didn't happen. They know that Owen will never make up for not having a brother, but if they can give him a consistent playmate so he's not lonely, they'll do it. Should this have been a red flag? Maybe. But at the same time, I found it sweet that the boys considered each other brothers. I thought it was innocent. Surely, Paige and Nate knew the truth, right? Right? This continued for a bit, and come Christmas break of 2022, Paige and Nate insisted that I not even bother to try to get Owen into a camp. They'd take care of him for me. I was grateful. They ended up getting him more Christmas gifts than I did. I tried to set my pride aside because it was about Owen, not me. This is still when things finally started seeming off to me. I understood a gift on his birthday, and while they didn't get him as many gifts as they got Charlie, it was a lot more than you would typically get your kid's friend. Fast forward to now, spring break was last week, and this time, Paige and Nate didn't offer to take care of him during the day while I worked. They asked if Owen could spend the entire week at their house. Honestly, it meant I could pick up some more shifts and save up for the bike Owen wants for his birthday. So I said yes. I went to pick him up on Saturday afternoon. The kids were playing out back, so Nate and Paige asked to talk to me. They sat me down and said they love Owen and he's always such a joy to have. I thanked them profusely for all they'd done for him. Paige suggested that Owen stay a little longer. I pointed out Easter was Sunday, plus school started up on Monday. They said they could take him to school. I felt weird and said no, it was time for Owen to come home. That's when Nate suggested that Owen stay with them long term. I could still see him, but they would take care of him. I thought they were joking and said, like, what, you'd be his guardians or something? They got quiet and reality rushed over me. I pointed out that this wasn't a movie. They can't just get custody. They started spouting some legal stuff about how I could assign them as guardians and they would help make this transition smooth. They told me to think about Owen and what's best for him. I told them there was no way in hell I was going to give up my son. I grabbed Owen and we left. I've blocked their numbers. Owen has no clue what's going on. I'm keeping him tomorrow and took the day off work to figure some stuff out. Legally, they can't take him, but now I know what they want and I'm terrified. I don't want him going back to that school. Do we move? I'm so lost, and I feel so stupid because looking back, all the warning signs were there. I know Owen is going to be devastated losing Charlie, Paige, and Nate. How am I ever going to explain it to him?
My God.
That is complicated as
First of all, she's not stupid
No.
for not seeing that, because who in their right mind?
This all sounded normal to me because, like, growing up, I grew up in the suburbs, and I feel like there was a lot of that shit going on. I'm just like, oh yeah, you go hang out with your friends.
So yeah, it would be like literally like, yeah, I would take like friends on family vacations, stuff like that.
Yep.
This all
was
sounds
the
normal.
best.
Yeah,
That all sounded honestly normal to me.
I think it was weird when it was like, why doesn't you just stay here long term? Like, that felt like the first time that it was like, wait.
and maybe like he's like I mean, there is. I do see people saying like, oh, he's like the brother my son never had.
Right, right.
But also like, like we wanted to have like, we couldn't give him another brother. I don't know, maybe that in retrospect
weird, but also
looks a little
in retrospect.
Yeah, like having all the info, but in a vacuum, it's like, yeah, no. Like,
I could also see someone being like, we wanted to have another kid, we couldn't, but it's so great that Owen's around because like it's giving him that person to hang out with, that friend.
And ultimately, their actions now ripped Owen away from Charlie altogether when they could have integrated it in a different way that had the parents all become friends. And, the biggest thing that stuck out to me was, I so appreciate that, she's a single mom and she's implementing all these great values about how money is and everything and, to be grateful and whatnot. But then here are this pair of parents who are clearly looking at Owen and the mom and thinking that isn't a situation that is also okay just because it's one parent.
It's fucking crazy. It's a crazy view. Like, this unfortunately, like, it's just so disrespectful to her.
Right.
Of like, they're saying, to look her in the eyes and go, think what's best for your son. And what's best for your son is for him to not be in your situation. Like,
She's plenty
like, dude,
capable.
What the are you talking about?
She's doing fine. She's raised a wonderful kid who you now want to adopt.
Yeah, bro, what the hell?
I'm going to play devil's advocate a little. I wonder if, like, you know, things aren't as rosy as the posters.
That's always possible with Reddit posts.
You know, and it's like, you know, because she's like, you know, we don't have everything, and like, you know, his basic needs are met, and you know, but she's constantly talking about like picking up shifts and things like that, and I wonder if, like, you know, maybe, you know, and always putting him, like, you know, he's going away to like summer camps and stuff like that, and you know, maybe he's not happy at those summer camps, and maybe she's not coming home until super late, which, you know, is not ideal. It doesn't mean you should like adopt, like, you know, they shouldn't have just leapt to like, hey, we want to adopt your son, but it's like, hey, maybe if you need like financial help or
There's
something
so
like
many
that.
versions of this that I think could have been better. Like, if this family truly is like well off, like it seems like they are, it's like, dude, do you guys want to move to a place that has a guest house or something? And it's like, hey, do you and Owen want to move in and live here or something like that?
And it's
like,
just Owen and the mom. It's not like there's this whole family that they would be taking on or anything, but you're right that there's a huge gap that they just hopped over.
I would feel like humiliated, kind of.
Oh,
like, hey, like, we want to like adopt your son.
that's
like,
so disrespectful.
Yeah.
There's
Like,
so many easier ways to help that would not be so discredited.
It's also just like their thing in terms of like, we can give him all these things, but what's more important is that the kid is with his mom. Like, and that, like, that the damage that would do, like, to be like, yeah, your mom, we're adopting you, we're your guardians now, and you're gonna live with. It's like, as an 8-year-old, what's your comprehension of that?
He's old enough to be like, wait, where's my actual mom?
Like, if you actually care about Owen, like, help her out, like, help them both out. She's trying so hard. Yes, with every Reddit story, it's like, what is the actual situation?
I want to talk to Owen.
We never.
Put Owen on the phone.
Let's get Owen in.
Call Owen in.
Some comments here. It's one thing to offer support for a single parent with less means. It's another to take up guardianship of someone else's child. They're not thinking right, and Owen would always be second class to their son. They think they're doing you and Owen a favor, but they're really just buying their son a brother and playmate. It's so weird. I do see that, because, it's like, she addressed like, oh, well, their son still is their son. And like, it is kind of like, oh, we want to do this for our son. It's like, I don't know.
He's not a toy.
I view it a little, I do view this, I don't like to throw these things out there, but it's like classist to me, of just like, oh, you little, like, we can just buy you, and like, your son will entertain us.
It's like it's a little like dehumanizing.
It's totally dehumanizing.
Yeah. I don't like it one bit. It goes back to the values. Like, the mom clearly has different ones. She implemented that on the kid, and that's I think why I didn't jump to maybe the situation is worse than it's described, because again, she seems like she is doing her absolute best, and it seems like it is hopefully enough for Owen. This is now going beyond what he needs and is giving him the extra things of what he wants.
Right.
Yeah.
Someone else said, I would absolutely notify the school that he is not to go with Charlie's family. Document everything, dates he stayed, gifts, etc., because they sound sick enough to call child services and make a claim that you're negligent or unfit or something. And I'm sure they will say they have had Owen for long periods of time because you couldn't handle being a parent. We have an update. Well, what everyone feared would happen did. Tuesday, he returned to school. I told him he could still talk with and play with Charlie. I was hesitant to drop him off, but figured you can't live in fear. Most afternoons, my son takes the bus to a local rec center for aftercare. I had already told the school everything and that Nate and Paige were not to pick Owen up. I managed to call and even make sure he got on the bus. Aftercare was also made aware of the change in pickup list. Well, a half hour later, I got a call that Paige had tried to pick up my son. The front desk refused to release him. Didn't say why, just that she was no longer on the list. She wouldn't leave and the police were called. She was escorted out of the building. While she wasn't brought to jail, there is a police report, and I'm using this to go to court and get an order of protection. Paige and Nate are also banned from the rec center, so if they do show up, they will get arrested for trespassing. The police are working on ways to protect us, and the local social service office has been made aware of the situation, so they should try to make a claim they're aware of the situation. That's crazy.
That's terrifying.
No, that is kidnapping if you show up and try to pick up someone's kid without talking to the parent. That's kidnapping. And they fucking stayed until the police showed up.
They refused to leave.
Oh, they took the train to Crazy Town.
They were absolutely just going to put Owen in the car and drive away.
Bro. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Full on. Wow.
Paige. Girl.
Wow. Well, I hate to say it, that's kind of like the best thing that could happen because now it's documented of like, oh, these people are a threat to your son.
I think
Like now that it's documented.
Yeah.
Like that.
They didn't take long for them to overstep.
It just sucks. It just fucking sucks.
It really sucks for these kids.
Oh,
Poor
dude.
Owen.
I'm just like, I'm sad at people who think like what kids need is like stuff. And I'm like, no, what a kid needs is like good relationships and like parents.
No, and poor Charlie too, right? Like through all of this,
these are just kids.
They're just kids.
Out.
They don't know any better, and these two parents are just thinking that they clearly know best enough to go so far to literally commit a crime and separate Charlie from the best friend he's ever had.
I don't even think, my take is, I don't even think they're thinking of Charlie. I think this is the life they wanted, and they're like, we can just take it from someone else.
Yeah, they went on these little family vacations, and they were like, oh, how great is our little family
of
life.
We're going to make this happen.
Yeah, we're going to get what we want because we can buy it.
Jesus. All right, moving on. But damn, these are some crazy ones.
Yeah.
These are some confessions.
How old is that one?
That's from about a year ago, so
Best of luck to Charlie and Owen.
It comes from Creepy Encounters, Sleepwalking Roommate.
Oh, I had one of those.
And the twist is they don't have a roommate. Watch that. Okay. I recently acquired a new roommate. Acquired.
Yeah.
Okay, freak.
Are they tied up in your basement?
recently acquired a new roommate. Okay. I recently acquired a new roommate. The entire situation should never have happened, but I needed someone to help with rent. So a Craigslist posting later, he moved in. His name was Greg, and he disclosed to me that he did have some strange sleeping behaviors. Sleep talking, sleepwalking, night terrors. Funny thing was, I also had a history of sleepwalking, but only on rare occasions. What if they have a sleep relationship?
They're like, yeah!
They're besties. Like stepbrothers.
The first incident occurred about 1 week in when I heard him screaming in the middle of the night. Since we both slept in separate rooms on different sides of the house, the screams sounded distant, but enough to scare me so much that I ran to check on him. As I got closer to his bedroom, he stopped screaming, so I just went back to bed. For the next month, he had no issues. I noticed he had no friends or family that would visit, and I never saw or heard him on the phone or texting. Then, another random night, Greg started screaming. Same thing. I got up and started going to his room, but he'd stopped. Then one night, I was awoken by screaming in my bedroom.
Oh.
I couldn't see anything in the panic, so I turned on the bedside lamp, and he was at the foot of my bed wearing some sleeping clothes, athletic shorts, and a t-shirt. It scared me. So I started screaming and woke him up. He apologized and went back to bed.
No.
Then the scariest thing happened. About 2 nights later, I awoke to clanking. Sounded like tools and hammers tapping. I turned on the light to see Greg kneeling down in a corner working on something with his hands. A few seconds after turning the light on, Greg froze, then slowly turned his upper body around and stared blankly at me while I laid in bed. I was beyond creeped out, so I slowly slid out of bed and left the house. After sleeping in my truck down the road in an empty church parking lot, I returned to the house at about 8 in the morning. Greg was gone. All of his belongings were gone. No sign of him anywhere. It was like he never lived there. I didn't know of any of his friends or family, so I had no one to call about him. Days turned to weeks, weeks into months. When the lease was up, I decided to move. One day, I was moving furniture out of my bedroom, and in the corner of the room where I had seen Greg kneeling down that night, I realized the floor vent for the air conditioning was loose. Inside the floor vent was an envelope with a ton of pictures of me sleeping. The pictures had handwritten dates and times written on the back of them. The only other item was a whittled down wooden broom handle brought to a point. I truly believe Greg was preparing to kill me that night, and he realized it. Maybe because it was the sleepwalking Greg that was going to do it, he left to save my life. It appears Greg had been coming to my room almost nightly and working on making the broom handle a stabbing weapon, and I never heard until the last night I saw him.
I'm sorry.
That was awesome.
You said these stories weren't going to keep you up at night.
Oh, that's I said I was awesome.
Have you acquired a new roommate lately?
Yeah, I got married, yo. I'm fucked.
Dude, I'm gonna be single forever, man.
Honestly,
That's crazy.
I sleepwalk and sleep talk and have night terrors, but mine have just been dumb. Like I'll be like, "Hello."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, you're not actually a serial killer, so.
Yeah. Wait. So
his interpretation.
There's two options. Is there's maybe a sleeping Greg. Of
He
course,
thinks
it's Greg.
Sleeping Greg was
the serial killer?
Sleeping Greg was doing all this stuff, or Greg
it was
is
a
saying
cover.
it's a cover, and so Greg was actually going to kill him.
I think it's a cover.
Yeah, I've never heard of someone sleep taking photos and like writing down the dates and times and being like, oh, so this is Nathan asleep on January 5th at, I'm asleep right now.
It could be like a sleepwalking, a split personality disorder thing that could be like crazy. This is like a really good movie.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah.
This is really scary.
Yeah.
So comments here. A lock on your bedroom door after the first incident would have been a good investment, closely followed by telling Greg to move out ASAP. Glad you survived. Recommend you avoid Craigslist when looking for a housemate in future.
Greg.
Commenter, someone here in the comments wrote a story. So this is a story within a story. I too have a sporadic sleepwalking episodes, but what was most terrifying for me was discovering how well I was able to convince my housemates I was awake. My worst episode involved sleep cooking, if you call microwave mac and cheese cooking. I apparently had some creepily convinced responses to people, including my closest friends, that questioned my groggy demeanor. They had already concluded that I was tired and affected by my nighttime medications, which are sedating. For one person, I gave the story that I was a little drunk. I wasn't. Considering our place was known as a party house, such a statement wasn't cause for alarm. I would never have even known this had happened if I didn't wake up with macaroni and cheese in my hair and a practically full bowl of congealed mac and cheese next to my bed the next morning. I obviously asked what the happened the night before and why I had mac and cheese in my hair, and that's how I discovered the above details. It's so scary to know that you can undertake complex tasks while totally asleep and have zero recollection of it. There were no corresponding dreams or anything. It is something that was never committed to my memory. When I hear stories like this, I feel for people like Greg, just as much as the OP. Greg's experience is not unlike the manifestation of my worst fears, although mine involved trying to drive while asleep and potentially killing someone. So I would constantly change where I kept my keys to prevent any rote behaviors. I gave my housemates warning that if I seem out of it, that even if I can talk coherently, they should try to direct me back to bed. I also asked them to ensure that I wasn't in possession of my keys if they noticed me in this state. If I was so freaked out by sleep cooking episode, I can't even imagine discovering that I was preparing to murder someone while asleep with no conscious awareness of it. Coming to terms with that realization and then trying to figure out what to do. I truly feel for both Greg and the OP. This must be beyond terrifying for all involved. Wow.
I think he was a murderer.
A question I have is murder during sleepwalking possible? Well, I guess according to crimetraveler.org, according to a study carried out in France in 2013, 58% of the 140 adult sleepwalkers studied displayed violent behavior during their sleep, with 31% of violent incidents being towards themselves and 46% towards their partner sleeping next to them. The study carried out by researchers at the Sleep Disorders Center, Hospital Guy de Chauliac in Montpellier, also found that those who started sleepwalking at a young age had a higher frequency of violent behaviors causing injuries, and that violent behavior during sleep was often accompanied by sleep terrors, also known as homicidal somnambulism. This occurrence is thankfully very rare. However, it has happened with at least 68 cases of sleepwalking murder reaching a courtroom, leaving a jury the task of deciding whether a murder committed while asleep means criminal responsibility or for the unfortunate sleepwalker. So it sounds like most violent stuff is more like reactionary,
it's like you're
stuff.
getting waked up or like that's.
Yeah,
it's
like
not writing the dates.
But not actual planned premeditated murder.
Yeah, like I think he probably did sleepwalk.
And I'm curious of the 68 cases of sleepwalking murder.
I've heard of that too. I've heard a case.
But were
it's
those
like somebody in bed, like just beating the shit out of like their husband or wife or whatever.
Actually beating the shit out of them and then murdering.
But not premeditated, I whittled away at a thing.
No, he's whittling in his sleep. Just
that is so creepy.
But like. Also, but I think he did also sleepwalk because I think in part of the story, didn't he say like he woke up to him screaming, like just him screaming at him in bed, and
but maybe that was his. Maybe that was his.
Or that's the cover.
I think when you are sleepwalking, nothing is connected. Like for me, when I'm sleepwalking, nothing is connected. You're in another state, but you're walking through your home. So for him to write the person's name down, what the date is, what or the time. That is not sleepwalking.
I know you like watch people sleep. Like again, Selena Spooky was known for sleepwalking, and you watch her videos, and it's just chaos. Like she's throwing Coke bottles out a window. Like it's like she's just doing. But I've like pushed my mom down the stairs while sleepwalking before, when I was like 10, not intentionally, but that's in a case where it's just like she's in the way, and I'm sleepwalking.
Yeah, you're trying to.
I didn't want to. You heard her. She was okay, it's fine. I love my mom. But I've also made peanut butter and jam sandwiches. Like
I've never made food. I've definitely gone to like a different place. I've left the house.
Yeah. None of it makes sense though. Yeah, that's scary.
I've gone underneath things. I've like locked myself in rooms.
Yeah.
Like
did you hurt yourself? Because I would always wake up with so many bruises.
I've definitely stubbed my toe.
Yeah, I used to hit my arm because I was on a bunk bed, and I had metal bars, and I just would hit my arm, and I'd like wake up with all these bruises on me, and then I'd like fall out of bed all the time.
Oh yeah, me too. I'd fall out of bed.
Wow, we're just like
look at us. Broken bones. Shane, you too?
Yeah. I was gonna say, my brain goes to, he was hearing Greg sleep. What if he checked the vents in Greg's room and he had been taking photos of Greg and also had a thing in there? Like he was hearing Greg scream because that's him going to his room. And so Greg's sleep. What if Greg's sleepwalking self was like, I gotta kill him before he kills me.
Yeah.
But I gotta plan. So like, what if he's taking photos of Greg and it's like they're just having a fun little back and forth.
That's a good horror movie.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Because he mentions at the top that he sleepwalks.
Yeah.
But then and then he never covers it again.
Oh, I like
and
that.
you're like,
and we kind of forgot about
what
that.
if you were gonna kill Greg?
Okay, I like this. Write this down.
Yeah, write this down.
Everybody write this down.
Guys, write this down.
Okay.